All right, so I created my own story and I changed my X and Y axis labels to talk about the amount of video games played and the certain amount of hours for my Y. So I did my X axis if I were going to explain this as I played one video game in 6 hours. Then I played 3 video games in 8 hours, and then another time I played 10 video games in 10 hours. So I'm using the exact same information from the same coordinate plane, the same ordered pairs, but I just created my own story by changing the labels. Okay, now let's get into Dr. Rios. So Dr. Rios has collected data about her patient's growth. The points show the age and number of inches grown since each person's last birthday. So I want you guys to realize first, how does these points explain what is happening in the story? So if I were to go through and just look at a few of them, I would know that Ken is age 12 and only grew 2 inches from his last birthday. If I look at Tina, Tina is 4 years old and grew 3 inches from their last birthday. Now, let's get into the questions that want us to analyze this data. So, based on your labels, who has grown the most? So, which label or which axis helps us know who has shown the most growth, X or Y? Correct, it's Y. So, we need to look at who has the highest number in growth to know that who has grown the most. So if we look at Lucas, we know that he is 1 and has grown 9 inches since his last birthday. That's a lot of growth. If we look at who has grown the least, we still look at that y axis, and then we are looking at the lowest number for that y in the ordered pair, which leads us to Jacob, who has grown the least for being 9 and then growing 1 inch. Okay. Ahmed wanted to make a map of his neighborhood, so he graphed the locations of several places he likes to visit. So we see Ahmed's house here at the starting point. Then we have school, library, ice cream shop, grocery store, skate park. So, what would be the most helpful labels for both the X and Y axis and Y? Think about it. Correct. So, we should be looking at this as maybe we could label this as the number of miles he walked in a certain amount of time. Okay. So based off of the locations, he could have walked 2 miles in nine minutes. All right. He could have walked 4 miles in 2 minutes. And but of course, a time and relevance all can be changed. Okay. So again, we are also looking at how we could what other labels could we use. So if we're thinking of him traveling from his house to these places, we could think of miles, we could think of feet, we could think of kilometers, you could think of any type of distance. We could think of blocks, amount of blocks that he walks. Okay, but it all could be changed based off of the labels that you put in the story that's there. Okay, let's get to Paloma. Oh, just before we start Paloma, the a- the secret code for today for Math Exit Ticket is rainbow. So make sure you're spelling that correctly. It's rainbow, Rainbow. Okay, let's start with Paloma. So Paloma is starting a dog walking business, so she has to keep track of all of the dogs she walks. The points show how many miles each dog walked and how many treats they ate on their walk. What are we noticing right now about our coordinate plane? Correct. It doesn't have labels. So we have a story, but it doesn't have labels because we need a little bit more information to help us figure out how we are going to label this story. Okay? Because each number could technically be interchangeable. Like I don't know how many miles each dog walked and how many treats they ate because each one is kind of like a different um pair. It's nothing in order. Now, let's look at the problems that they gave us. How would you label the X and Y axis if Lumpy has eaten the most treats? Okay, So this is why we always start off with labeling our ordered pairs first, because this helps us understand the stories. Okay, so if we look at has eaten the most treats, we need to look at Lumpy. His ordered pair is 1 and 8. His highest number is 8. Does anyone else have, does any of the dogs have 8 or higher in their Y coordinate and their Y and their piece of the Y for their ordered pair? No. So we can assume right here that if Lumpy has eaten the most treats, then our Y coordinate would be treats, while our X coordinate would be miles, because we looked at and figured out he has eaten the most treats, so that would be Y. And then also this will be labeled treats. How would you label the X and Y axis if Tank has eaten the most treats? So again, labeling our ordered pairs first always helps us out. We are finding Tank here, and we realize that 10 is our highest number for all of y-axis, which gives us to the point that x would be labeled as treats and y would be labeled as miles. So realize that you can have the same points, but the stories can always be so different. So this is what we're working on today. Like, even though we have the same coordinate planes, the same points, our story can change based off of the information that is shared in that story. Now, your exit ticket. I would suggest drawing this out on a blank piece of paper. So then when you do A through F, you can do the stories correctly and figure out the answer. So make sure you are drawing this out and changing the labels based off of what is given to you in order for you to understand. And of course, your before you even get into the story below, you have to do one thing that's also in your notes and that we talked about all day. Okay. Happy Friday. Hope you guys have a great day and a great April vacation. Can't wait to chat with you guys soon. Bye.